Alright, hello everyone. Wait for just like 2 minutes. Sorry for the music being on in the background. But waiting for just a brief second to that's just about hello to everyone that's entering right now. Hello, hello, hello. Alright. My For those of you that are new to this page, my name is Arcadio Santana. And this is Fathers Are Important, Instagram Live podcast show. I want to thank everybody for taking their time out right now and joining the show, tuning in. This show is for all fathers and mothers and even non-parents, man or female, to come on here and speak out and let their voice be heard on why fathers are important. Just for JC, absolutely, I am Iron Dad. But yes, come on here, speak out, and let everyone know why they feel fathers are important. This page is also for everyone who may have been through parental alienation. Let their voice be heard on their hurt, their pain. More than anything, this page is to be used specifically for therapeutic use for all fathers that are suffering with parental alienation. My goal is to raise awareness for parental alienation and help the world understand why fathers are important. So today I have a guest on my show today, and after him I'm taking more people who wants to come on there and let more people who want to come on here and let their voice be heard. But before I get him on the show, I want to let everybody know that one of my main reasons for creating this page is exactly for what I just told everyone in the beginning, is to raise awareness for parental alienation. And when it came time for me to figure out, last year I said to myself, how do I want to do this? I want to do something for all fathers, but I didn't know exactly how to do it. So I came across Fathers Lives Matter from Donovan. When I watched everything he was doing on his shows and just the Instagram period, it touched my heart. It made me say, that's exactly what I want to do. And I've been following in his footsteps that he's been leaving for me, Donovan. And he's been leaving a trail for not just me, but for all fathers that are going through any type of alienation from their kid's mother. And I want to thank Alan, who I'm actually getting ready to have him here right now. I want to thank him for doing everything what he has been doing. Now, without further ado, let's get Alan Donovan on the show right now. Going live right.
Hey, brother.
Can you hear me? Wow,
Yep,
that
I can hear
background
you.
looks so amazing right there.
Well, we'll see how long it
Amazing.
lasts. As you can see behind me, we got some storms rolling in, so hopefully we don't get rained on.
Hopefully we won't. Maybe you should have an umbrella with you.
I know, right?
Well, I know who you are, and a few people on here who know who you are. But for the people that don't know who you are, can you let everybody know your name, where you're from, and what you do?
Okay, so my name is Alan Donovan. I'm the creator and founder of Fathers Lives Matter, the Instagram page. I am up in Montana. And basically how I started doing what I'm doing now is I found myself in, a custody case, like so many of you guys. And I didn't have a clue what was going on. I went into court the first time with an attorney, dropped several $1,000s, and I got my ass handed to me. Okay, I lost. After the court case, I got online and started looking for help for fathers. There's nothing out there at all. Now, if I had been a mother, there was everything under the sun and then some. But for fathers, there wasn't anything. And that was the genesis of my page.
Now, I like how you just automatically jump right into it before I start to ask you the questions. But now you talked briefly about how. Sorry, I'm moving the camera around. Everyone, just trying to adjust it. But can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
And if everyone else can hear me, can you just type yes? But anyway, I like how you went in automatically talking about your situation. But can you explain briefly to us about the first time you went into court once again?
So the first time I went into court, I had hired an attorney, and it was about $6,000 or $7,000 that I spent on the attorney. And
Wow.
I had no idea what was going on. My assumption was
Which most
okay.
of us don't when it's our first time.
Yeah, my assumption was okay. I've got an attorney. I have rights as a human being, but also as a father to be a part of my son's life. And the Friday before court, the attorney and I had game planned what I thought was going to be this really great strategy. And we get into court, and the attorney said 4 words the entire court session. And I got my ass handed to me. I mean, the minute I walked into
Wow.
that door, walked through those doors of family court, I was a target. And
Wow.
after court, I pulled my attorney aside and I said, "What the hell was that?" I said, "We didn't do anything you talked about." She told me, "Well, at least you got to spend extra time with your son." And she turned around and walked off. And I
It
fired her.
almost like the attorney didn't even care.
No, she didn't care. She was running. She told me point blank she was running late for another appointment in a different town. So, she had to hurry up and get there. So basically, my case, it didn't matter. She didn't care. She got her money. The check got cashed. She was out the door. And, the next day when she found out I fired her, she turned around and called my son's mom's attorney and told my son's mom's attorney that I was mentally unstable and I was at risk of physically acting out. And
Wow.
yeah, so not only do I have to face giving my son back, who I had had for almost 6 months, I had him in school, everything was going good, but now I've got to return him, and then my phone rings, and it's a restricted number. And up here in Montana, generally when you get a restricted number and you've got stuff going on, like court cases and things like that, it's usually
Hmm. Hmm.
it's usually law enforcement, and
Whoa.
it was a sheriff's deputy that was on the phone. And when I returned my son, the police were there. They monitored everything, whole 9 yards. And obviously, I'm not going to do anything stupid because I'm not going to run the risk of heaven forbid something happening to my son or myself. And once my son's mother got him back, I went up and I shook the officer's hand, and I thanked him for being there because not only was he protecting everybody else, but he was protecting me because he could be a verified source to say, no, this father did nothing in case shit went sideways later on. And I thanked him. He said, when you got out of your car, he said, I knew you weren't going to do anything. He said, but it's a job I have to do, understandably, and I'm really sorry to see you in these kind of circumstances, and I hope it works out for you.
Man, man, man. How long have you been dealing with this?
Well, it was going on so
Came.
I was 2014. So my fight actually came to an end in 2018, when I was awarded sole custody.
Wow. Very recent.
Yeah.
Very recent.
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And can you would you share with us how you managed to get all of that, get yourself prepared to represent yourself, and how it all happened in court? Can you share
Yeah.
with us that?
So basically, after I fired my attorney, I had to really sit down and think what I was going to do. And I came to the determination that the best person to represent my interests and represent my son was me. I was the best one to do that. And, so I jumped in, at the time I was working, I was a mid-level manager at UPS. So I would go to work, I would get off, and I would study case law, till 2 o'clock in the morning, go to sleep, get up, go to work. And that's what I did for 6 months. So I had 6 months in between court here and court down there. And so that's what I spent my time doing. Basically, I lost all my friends because, I devoted myself to learning family law. I worked and I learned family law.
Before you go any further, before you go any further, there's a few people that's just getting in now. Can you let everybody know your name once again,
Yep.
who you are and what you do,
I'm Alan
where you from
Donovan.
as well?
I'm Alan
Hmm.
Donovan. I'm from Montana. I'm the creator of Fathers Lives Matter.
Okay, okay. And everyone, once again, if my name is Arcadio Santana, and this is Fathers Are Important, the Instagram Live podcast show. Please continue.
Yep. And so basically that's what I spent my time doing. That's what I spent those 6 months doing. If I went out, it was to either get groceries or go to work. I had no other life but
Okay,
and learning family law, and
okay.
slowly getting Fathers Lives Matter rolling.
So I'm gonna get to that with you briefly as well. So pretty much when you've seen the your attorney not showing any type of like not caring too much is what I'm trying to say. It pretty much put the fire in your eyes for you to study and look up a whole lot of stuff with the family court and be the best lawyer you can be. Be the Johnny Cochran of yourself.
Yeah. Well, and I got so pissed because, I had spent all this money and, I truly
As you
believed
should
that,
get, man.
yeah, I truly believed that I was doing the right thing and that my rights were going to be represented. And, they weren't. They weren't represented at all. And the person that I put in charge of that didn't give a shit. That's what pissed me off the most is her nonchalant attitude. She was like, whatever, and she went on about her life and, my life just got destroyed and I'm having to figure out what am I going to do next? And so
So
that's what I
it
started
took you
doing.
a while.
Yeah.
How long were you in school for this?
So I did the 6 months. So basically what I did is I got a membership to the Bar Association so I could study case law. Um, and that's what I did. I took some online paralegal courses so I could learn how to write
Okay.
briefs, writs, and basically communicate back and forth with the court. And so that's what I did. I just started doing that and gave up pretty much my outside life for that one
You had
reason.
a mission.
I
You
I
were
was a man.
silently
Yeah, I was a man on a mission.
planning on how to make the right moves, and like you said, the best person to represent um yourself in a situation like this is yourself.
Yeah.
And I admire you for that. And if everybody else who's watching right now admire Alan Donovan for doing what he did, I ask every single one of you for putting the 100 symbol emoji on, typing that in right now in honor for what he did, especially since Father's Day is right around the corner. On now, leading up to in the courtroom when all of this transpired, can you please continue sharing that with us
So
when
basically,
you represent yourself?
yeah. So basically, I had to go 2,000 miles to represent myself. I had to go down to
Wow.
Kentucky. That's where court was at. And so when I rolled into the courtroom, I rolled in the courtroom with 13 binders that I had compiled over the
13
6 months.
binders.
13 binders. Yeah. And I got into court and, they go through the whole process. Everybody rise, Judge so-and-so comes in here and he looks at me, he goes, Mr.
Talk
Donovan.
about a man on a mission.
Yeah. He goes, Mr. Donovan, where's your lawyer? Do you have representation? And I said, no, Your Honor, I don't have representation. So you're acting as your own lawyer. I said, yes, I am. He goes, well, you realize that if this goes badly for you, you cannot then declare a mistrial based on that. I said, yeah, I know that. I said, this is what it is. And so we went through the whole process. I was my own lawyer.
She had an attorney, right?
Yeah. Yeah. She had an attorney. And we went
Okay.
through the whole entire process, interviewing, putting them on the stand, and I was objecting to what I thought was, objectionable, and it was either sustained or overruled. And we got to the end of it, and I was awarded 50% custody at that time because that is what I was going for. Because leading up to that, they had been trying to intimidate me. At one point, they tried to get me to sign away my rights. And another point, they offered me 1 week in the summer out of the year. And so I was awarded, 50-50, which is what I was going for. And the judge said, Mr. Donovan, he goes, so you're from 2,000 miles away, right? And I said, yeah. He goes, do you know anybody down here outside of the plaintiff and her family? I said, no, Your Honor, I don't. He goes, so you traveled down here by yourself to a place you don't know anything about. He goes, this is your first time here, right? And I said, yes. And he goes, so you've never been here. You know nobody but the plaintiff, and you traveled that far to fight for your son. I said, absolutely, I did. And he goes, I've been doing this for, I think he said 20 years. He goes, I can count on one hand the number of fathers I've seen walk into this courtroom and do this. He goes, but I'm going to tell you something. He goes, you are the most prepared, father I have ever seen. He goes, if you ever, because at the time, the plan was I was going to move down there at some point so I could be closer to my son. And he goes, if you ever move down here and you want to be the custodial parent, he goes, you come back and see me. And he goes, I will make that happen. And that's how impressed he was with me. And
I'm sure you walked out feeling like a champion, right?
Oh, I did. I walked out feeling like $1 million feet tall. Because
Jordan hit the 3-pointer at the end of the buzzer.
Hell yeah, dunking on Dikembe Mutombo with his tongue out. That's what I felt like. Because going into this process, everybody that I had talked to that knew what was going on in my life personally and knew that I was going to be representing myself, they told me I was crazy. They said, you're not going to win. My own father, a couple days before I went down there, called me and asked me to come over, and I came over, and he goes, I want to talk to you real serious. So I'm thinking, okay, what's going on? Are you dying or something? And he looks at me and he goes, you're not going to win. And I said, what do you mean? Because I wasn't even thinking about that. He goes, you're not going to win, and it dawned on me he was talking about the custody situation. And he goes, you're not going to win. You need to give what you're offered and be happy for that. My own father was telling me that I was not going to win. And I was just like, really, Dad? You're supposed to be supporting me. You're supposed to be supporting me in what I'm trying to do. This is your goddamn grandson. Excuse my French, but this is your grandson we're talking about here. That if I don't win, you're never going to see him. But he didn't care. His whole thought process was, you take what you're given and you be thankful for that. No, fuck that. I don't play that way. And that's
you're not gonna take anything when it just comes for your son. You're gonna go for everything you can.
Yeah.
And the comments that I'm reading right now, for instance, from a good friend of mine, Ming Van Burn, he responded in these simple words: the pursuit of happiness, and that's exactly what it was for you. Yeah. You having your son in your life, seeing him more often instead of dealing with the nonsense, is the pursuit of happiness. From Justice for JC, that just lit the fire. Everything that's going on, like you, what you're doing, right? What you've done, and even with your page, your story is putting so much fire in my eyes, Justice for JC's eyes, Chris Sanchez's eyes, and everyone else that are watching on here that are single fathers. And if you all agree with me, please comment below with the fire symbol, because you are literally putting the fire in all of our eyes. And I thank you, big time. I thank you for doing what you're doing and setting the good example for fathers like us.
That's absolutely what I want to do. The big thing with me, I want to prove to you guys, you fathers around the world, that you can do this. I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody that stood up and said, you know what? I'm not going to fucking take this. You are not going to take my son from me. You are not going to dictate when I can see him. It's not happening. And, and that's what I've been able to do. Praise God that I was able to do that. But I was able to do that because
there's a lot of us that are dealing with that.
I was willing to put in the work. I made a lot of sacrifices to make this happen. But you know what, Arcadio? I wouldn't change it for a second. I would not change it for a second. Because the man that I was when this all started and the man that I am now, two totally different people. I wouldn't even recognize that man now.
Now, rewinding just a little bit back to we ain't never nobody's brother. We are fathers. Absolutely. I like that, Justin for JC. Now rewinding just a little bit back to in between that gap frame when you got your ass handed to you in the beginning, all
Mm-hmm.
the way up till you won the case. Somewhere in between that gap frame, you created this page. Am I
I
right?
did. I did.
Father Lives Matter.
I did.
Now,
So
now,
no.
I'll let you talk.
So I was just gonna say that, you know, I originally created the page for support for me because I had no support. Okay. And when I looked online, like I said at the start of this interview, there was no support for fathers anywhere. Like I said, if I was a woman, there was support and then some, everything under the sun. But because I was a dad, there was no support. And so I started the page, and it was originally about my own situation. But once I got to the point where I won custody of my son, I had a choice to make. Do I shut this page down? Do I hand this page off to somebody else and go on with my life? Or do I take the experiences and the wisdom that I've learned and everything that I dealt with, and do I pass it down to other fathers? Do I help them? Do I give them a voice, to stand up and shout? Do I give you a voice, Arcadio, to stand up and talk about your situation and to talk to other fathers? I had that decision to make, and I ultimately chose to keep doing what I was doing because,
I see we have a lot of confidence.
yeah, this is something I truly believe in, is fathers' rights. Fathers need to be looked at equally with the mom. We're on the same level. We're not way down here and the mom's way up there. It should never have been that.
Now, and I totally agree with you. It should always be 50-50. Now, excuse me. I remember you briefly telling me once before that you were getting like death threats with the page. Would you mind sharing that briefly when you started the Instagram?
So what happened is because I had this whole podcast idea in my mind for about a year before I actually started doing it, because I kept thinking about it. I was trying to figure out the right way to do it and, what kind of format and everything. And finally, one day I just said, screw it, and started doing it. So it was all low key until, excuse me, until I interviewed a father by the name of Leon that had a really horrible situation happen to him in Staten Island. And anybody that wants to know what that is, go to my page. It's the very first actual true podcast. But basically, he was estranged.
And this was during the time before you got custody, am I right?
No, this was after. I didn't start the podcast until after I had custody. That's when all that got rolling. And really, I actually didn't really start the podcast stuff until this last winter. That's when I started doing that. But, this gentleman, his daughters, he was estranged from his daughters. He was alienated. Okay. His youngest daughter got terminal cancer. And he found, he found out on Facebook. Okay. And then later on, his daughter passed. She passed away. And he didn't know it. He found out from another family member that told him. And, he wasn't allowed to go say goodbye. He wasn't allowed to do any of this stuff. I started getting tagged in a lot of videos that he was posting when he was going through all this stuff. Like there was an instance where he was trying to view his daughter's body, and the mother's family like formed this circle around his little girl's casket, so he couldn't even see the casket. And the NYPD was called, and just all kinds of crazy shit. And so I started getting tagged in these videos, and I'm watching these videos, and then I had somebody from his family reach out to me. And then I reached out to him, and I got him on the show. And then as soon as I had him on the show, the death threats started. First, it started out as physical violence. One night, there was 50 different accounts DMing me, all in succession. As soon as I would block one, another one would show up. And then it started going to death threats. All because I'm giving this father a voice to tell his story? Come on. That's ridiculous.
Man, he must have had a lot to air out for them to be threatening you like that. Like they must have been scared for him to put out a lot of stuff like that.
Well, the way I look at it, Arcadio, what happens when you turn on the light at night and you got cockroaches on the floor? They scatter. And I think a lot of this is what I was doing and giving him that platform to get his story out. You're shining light on the cockroaches that don't want that light shined on him. And it, the messages started out really innocuous, telling me, oh, you don't know this guy, he's not what he says he is, and there's a lot of other stuff going on. And it just ramped up from there to the point where I was getting death threats, and I had to sit back because I was like, holy crap. And I talked to someone else that I know that is an activist. They're not a father's rights activist, but they're an activist. And I was telling him, I was like, man, I'm getting death threats now. Is this something I should be seriously worrying about? And, he kind of laughed, and he said, well, you're up in Montana, right? I said, yeah. He said, do you have a gun? I said, yeah, I got a lot of guns. I carry all the time. He goes, I wouldn't worry too much about it then. But he goes, seriously though, he goes, a lot of guys wear it as a badge of honor, because when you start getting to this level, he goes, you're making an impression on somebody that doesn't want the light shined on them. And so that's kind of how it's gone. I get physical threats all the time. Like if I post anything that's anti-feminist, it just starts piling into my DMs. Like I'll interview a guest, and this has just started happening recently with the guests. All of a sudden, my DMs will start blowing up from people that don't want that guest to be on there, saying they're speaking their mind. I'll start getting hit with all
Now, your followers for for your page is very, very, very impressive. My goal is to get to where you're at, and my next question to you is that have this reach out to your kid's mother as well with what you were doing with the Instagram?
She knows a little bit about it, but she doesn't know.
Not to the extent.
No, and honestly, I don't really care if she does or doesn't. It's neither here nor there. I have a right to voice my opinion and do what I'm doing, and she has a right to like it or not like it. I don't really care.
Now, with everything you've been going through and with telling us, it's almost like you're an icon for fathers that are going through situations like this. It's enough to write a book to the point which you actually are doing that. Can you tell us something? Can you tell us briefly about your book that you have coming out?
So basically, it's going to be 2 books. The first book is going to deal specifically with my court case, from the start of the whole thing that led up to the court case on through to the end of the court case. And so it's going to be detailing all that, and it's going to go into all the details that I can't give to you right now in this interview. But that's going to be the first book. And the second book is actually going to be about my life all the way through this, because there was a lot of things that happened when I was, my son's age now, that kind of put me to the position I am now, and how I look at, being a father as being one of the most important things I will ever do. Like my son, no matter what I do in this world, he will always be my greatest creation. And so all that kind of transfers into what's going on right now.
I like that. I like that a lot. Now, I have a comment from somebody on here that somebody wanted to ask. They wanted to ask you this personal question. It's actually a text message for someone that's watching right now. They wanted me to ask you this question, to please ask Alan, how can we end parental alienation?
Well,
good question.
That is a good question. And, really, truthfully, the honest answer that I can give you, because there's a lot of other little answers that all factor into this, because parental alienation is a bigger problem of just how frickin' broken our court system is. Okay, there wouldn't be parental alienation if our court system did their goddamn job. And that's the problem. You have a court system that allows mothers to get away with all this shit without doing anything, because what, Arcadio, all these other fathers that I interact with know that if we did the things that mothers do to us on a regular basis, our ass would have been in jail a long time ago. Now with mothers, that doesn't happen. They get talked to, they get a slap on the wrist. So it all starts right there. If the courts did their job, that they are empowered to actually do, we wouldn't see parental alienation, because there would be a price to pay if you actually alienated your child. And there are some states that are looking at parental alienation as a crime on par with physical and mental abuse. But I don't know that that will ever happen. But, to me, that's the big thing. It all starts with the courts and how that court is structured and the job that the courts do, because technically the job that the courts do, they're supposed to rule in the best interest of the child. 99% of the time, 99% of the time, that doesn't happen. You got these judges that sit on the bench and they rule based off of their personal opinion, not after the letter of the law.
You have some judges that would allow a father who haven't seen his son or daughter or just kids, period, to only see them once a week, or and the second week twice a week. And while the mother sees him or her every day, and like that parenting thing you mentioned, once a week, or some, out here in New York, they have two non-consecutive weeks throughout the summer, which I've been blessed by that. But at the same time, it's good that a father gets something like that, but why should the mother who's alienating the child from the father get something like that in return when she's having a parenting thing every day?
That's exactly it. It doesn't make sense. And, you really got to start going down a lot of rabbit holes to kind of figure out this court system and figure out the twists and turns that it goes down as to why it is now. And a lot of it, the court system is built on money. It's built on the almighty dollar bill, and the people that are paying the lion's share of that are you and me, fathers. The courts get us as ATMs. And the first time I heard that, I was like, I don't know about that. That sounds kind of weird. But I went and did some research, and, child support is tied into Social Security. Okay. It's under that umbrella of the Social Security Administration. And it's Title IVD-4, basically, which states for every child support case that is on the books, that state or that court gets a federal kickback from the government based off of, a really wild, crazy percentage. So, it all starts money and then just kind of umbrellas out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Justice for JC, it's a multi-billion-dollar business. It's huge.
It is. Fighting to father, you're next. Just letting you know, fighting to father, you're next. Now, my question to you is, with everything you've been in your life, with this crazy unnecessary drama you've had in your life, when the only thing you want to do is just be a dad, and that's how it is with myself, Justice for JC, and everyone else. Like we go through this unnecessary drama when all we want to do is just be a dad. What advice can you give everybody who's currently in that spotlight, like where you were at one point, where you're in the process of trying to fight for it, or even for some people that may be watching, some people that might have lost the court battle? What is your best advice can you give them?
So this is going to be kind of a multi-part answer. So the first thing, if you're in this kind of position where you are fighting to be a part of your child's life, the first thing you actually have to do is sit down and really think about it. Because once you go down this road, there's no going back, okay? You're going to be sacrificing a lot of stuff. You're going to be sacrificing family, sacrificing friends. You're going to find out who your true friends are and who is really there for you. Okay, so you have to make that decision. If you decide that you're going to go for it and you are actually going to fight, you don't give up. You don't ever give up. That's the biggest thing. And I talk to a lot of dads who get to the point where, it's a make or break thing, where they're so financially worn out, so emotionally worn out, mentally, the whole gambit. And, they throw their hands up and walk away. If you get into this fight, you are in the fight until the end. There is no give up. Justice for JC, it's a lonely road. Family court is a grinder. You have to be prepared for that. A big thing when I'm working with fathers, I tell them that you have to have something that's outside of this family court bubble that you're in, something that has no association to it that you can escape to. Okay. You got to have something outside of that where you can disappear and, recharge and refocus, because if you don't, this will fucking eat you alive. I mean, it's 24
Yes, it
hours a
will.
day,
It will.
365 days a year of anxiety, of torture, of not knowing what's going on. For me, when I was in the middle of this, it was photography. I would escape up into the mountains for the weekend, no cell phone coverage, nothing, where I could just decompress and separate myself from that. And it's a tough road to go down. I mean, you got to understand what you're doing exactly, because you're going to be putting a lot of sacrifice forth for that. Okay. So the
Now,
second part of the answer, yes.
no,
So
no,
the
continue. I'm sorry.
okay. So second part of the answer, and I know a lot of you guys saw the post that I made last Friday. Okay. It was a video of my son running up to his mom. He hasn't seen his mom in almost 3 years.
I'm glad you mentioned that. I'm glad,
Yeah.
because I almost forgot to bring that up to you. Continue.
So if you get to a point where you win custody and you now have full custody, don't be a dick. Don't be the person that they were to you. Okay. I could have made my son's mom's life difficult, and with getting to see him, I could have done every nasty, shitty thing to her that she did to me. I could have done that, but I didn't. And the reason why I didn't is because my son didn't choose to be in the middle of this. He didn't have a say in who his mom and dad was. And because we couldn't get along and we had our own problems with each other, that's no excuse to put him in the middle, guys. And if you act out and return the favor, so to speak, when it's their turn to see your child, you're no better than they are.
Absolutely.
You're no better than they are. Be the bigger person. Don't hurt the truly innocent one, which is your children. And
Big time.
Yeah, seeing my son
I do have a question.
brought tears to my eyes.
I do have a question. How hard was it for you to not want to take vengeance in your own hand during a perfect opportunity like that? With all them times that she said, no, you can't see him. No, you can't see him this day, that day, this day, that day. How hard was it for you to not let her get a taste of her own medicine? Because we as humans, we all are imperfect, and sometimes we might want to react in a way like that. How hard was it for you to not let her get a taste of her own medicine?
So earlier on in the interview, I brought up the fact that the man that started that custody is not this guy, okay? And that played a big part in it. Had I still been that guy that was there when this whole custody battle started, I would have said, fuck you. You don't get to see him. Sorry. You made the bed, you sleep in it. I'm doing to you what you did to me, but I'm not that guy. That guy got left a long time ago. Like I said in the post, man, I cut all the shit loose. I cut it loose because the person that matters is that young man that's sitting over in the house right now playing Minecraft. That's who matters. And that's who I do this for. And he spent the entire week with his mom. And he loved every minute of it. And you know what? I was there for dinner with them. We went out and did stuff. That's why I haven't been online this week, because I've been with him spending time with his mom, because you know what? Our kids are investments. We are investing in their future and how we act and how we treat each other. How we do that is going to be a direct reflection on our children and how they approach relationships later on in life. And if I show my son that treating his mom badly is how it goes, guess what? When he's in this seat, he's going to be doing the same thing. And that's what I'm about. I am his teacher. He learns from me. He learns from my actions, and he learns by what I do to other people and how I treat other people. Yeah, we're not together. It didn't work out. That's fine. Shit happens. But, I'm not going to treat her like she did, or like she treated me. I'm not going to do that.
There's a lot of people that probably would love to be in your shoes and would love to let them get a taste of their own medicine. But the fact that you sit right here and sit back and say it's not worth it, and it's not worth showing my son to take evil for evil. What you're doing is showing your son that love conquers evil. And that's exactly what you're doing. And once again, I thank you so much for being that role model, that icon for fathers such as myself and fathers that are watching on here right now. You are a good role model to all of us, because some of us would love to go back and give her a taste of our own medicine. But you're showing us that it's not even worth it. Show your son who's the bigger person.
You
And
know,
that's exactly what you're doing. And once again, I thank you big time.
you're showing children love. That's ultimately what it's all about. You know, look at the world today. The world today is falling apart. And we've got all these different reasons why it's falling apart. But ultimately, we don't love one another like we should. And it's a direct reason to be that kind of person. And that's just the way it is.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right. I want to thank you for being on the show right now and sending out all of your experience, your knowledge, everything you can possibly share with us. And is there anything else you would like to let anybody know regarding your show coming up or anything?
You're going to be on my show on Tuesday.
Yes, I will. Yes, I will.
Arcadio's going to be on my show on Tuesday, so 7 p.m. Mountain Time. So wherever you guys are at, East Coast, West Coast, Mid-Central, figure out the time difference and jump in and come watch the show. Because
The roles will be reversed.
Those will be reversed.
I will be the one at the bottom this time.
Yep, and I got to tell you, brother, I am so proud of you. I'm so proud that you were able to watch what I was doing and do that for yourself and stand up for yourself. Okay?
Yes,
so proud
it's inspiring. Thank you, and I hope someday we do meet in person. Oh, I'm glad he just commented. Before I let you go, there's a good friend that I met through here as well, that is from Cayman Islands, and I know he's watching right now. He's been trying his hardest to reach out to his son, and his son is only like a few months old, and he's at the point where he's frustrated by wanting to give up with everything, and he's in Cayman Island. His son and his son's mother is in Arkansas, and it's to a point where he wants to give up. What's your best advice you can give him right now relating to those words, "I quit"?
Don't quit, because no matter what reason you think you're doing it for, whatever right reason you think you're doing it for, I can promise you, if you quit, that's something that's never going to leave your side. You're always going to have that guilt sitting there in the back of your head. Because if you quit, okay, a lot of guys don't understand that if you quit, that means your parental rights, 99% of the time, are gone. If you quit and you sign away your rights, that's it. You have to wait until that child is 18 and hope to God that they come looking for you. And that's always going to sit in the back of your mind. Don't quit, brother. It's hard. It sucks. But I promise you, all the blood, sweat, and tears, all the work that you put in, at the end of the day, at the end of that road, will be worth it. It will absolutely be worth it. And, reach out to me if you need to. I am always open.
He's watching right now.
Yep, I'm always open to talking in the DMs. Reach out to me, man. Okay? But don't quit. Don't give up. Don't ever say goodbye. That's some of the most important words that I can give, because if you do that, you're never going to forgive yourself.
Most importantly, when it's all said and done, your son or daughter, which I'm sure, Alan, your son will do the same thing, and he just commented right now. When they get old. Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
This is Arcadio.
How you doing?
Doing good.
What's up? You have a. I want to let you know this. You have a strong dad.
Thank you.
A strong, brave dad as well.
Yeah.
Not to mention you look exactly like him as well, without the facial hair.
Oh, he's getting that. He's getting the peach fuzz.
He'll grow it in by the time he's in 12th grade.
No, he says he's not going to grow the beard. He says he does not want a beard He is constantly trying to talk me into shaving my beard.
Well, if you don't want a beard, then you'll be on the same team as me.
Yeah.
But from Long Island, New York to Montana, I want to thank you both for being on my show, and you're the first one to be on my show, like father and son to be on my show.
Yeah.
And once again, you have a strong, brave father,
Yeah.
and he's a role model to fathers like me and someone that's watching on here.
Yep.
So
And Alan, once again, thank you for being on the show. And everybody, please take the time out this Tuesday, 5 o'clock. Am I saying that right time?
yeah. So 5 o'clock your time,
5 o'clock.
Mountain Time.
Yes, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I will be putting out a post to let everybody know to watch me on Fathers Live Matter. For the first time ever, I will be sharing my experience with parental alienation and my experience with what I'm going through as well, to fight to get more time for my son and to fight for me fighting to be the best father that I can possibly be. I ask you all to please tune in on Fathers Lives Matter, Alan Donovan Show, this Tuesday, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, 7 p.m. New York time. Alan, and what's your son's name?
Xander X.
Xander. I want to thank Xander X. All right. I want to thank you both for being on. Call you what?
Xander with the X, but it's not the Z. So XAN.
All right. What grade are you going to in September? 10th?
5th.
Oh, 5th grade. All right. Well, congratulations going to 5th grade. Congratulations. All right. Once again, Alan, happy Father's Day to you.
Happy Father's Day, brother. And I'll give you a call if you don't give me a call first on Father's Day.
Let's see who'll beat who first.
It's a race. Race is on, my friend.
Thank you, man, for being on the show. God bless
right.
both of
Lots
you.
of love, brother.
All right, now. How many of you just got excited by listening to Alan Donovan be on the show? If you have, I ask you to put the fire symbol. If it got you excited, if it got you to the point where you never want to give up. And I love towards the end, I love the strong message that he sent to a good friend of mine. That is he still watching? Let me see right now. Let me see. Give me 1 second. Yes, he is still watching. A good friend of mine that's in Cayman Islands. I love the strong message that he left to never give up. We as fathers, we got to sit back and look at our life as we got to sit back and look at us as if we are Rocky Balboa. Did Rocky give up when he went up against Drago? If some of you know about that, no, he didn't. He got pounded. He got knocked down like 4, 5, 7, 8 times. I don't see how the fight lasted that long, but the point is that Rocky never gave up. Rocky got beat up by Clubber Lang. Rocky got beat up by Apollo Creed. Rocky got beat up by so many different boxers, but the one thing that was inspiring about him is that he never gave up. We have to look at ourselves as fathers as that Rocky Balboa. We have to look at ourselves as that Muhammad Ali. We have to look at ourselves as a never giving up father, to the point where our son, our daughter, our kids, our twins, triplets, octuplets, if some of you have that out there, will look at us one day and acknowledge us and respect us to the point that Daddy never gave up. I repeat, Daddy never gave up. And that's exactly what it's all about these days, is the fact that we don't quit. We got to be strong. We got to never, ever give up. Now, there is one fighting to father. I promise to get you on here next. Let's go live right now. How you doing?
Yo, peace, brother.
How you doing?
I'm great.
All
man.
right.
How are you?
All right. I'm doing really good. I'm doing really good. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for
Can
having
you
me
let
on.
everybody know your name? I know your name is not Fighting to Father,
Oh
but
no,
can you let
it,
everybody know your name and where
it
you're from?
it is not. I'm from Louisiana, and I'm DB. My real name is Derek, but everybody calls me DB. That's what I go
DB.
by. And yeah, so fighting the father, started out just like with you and I think his name is Alan. Alan.
Before you
So
go any further,
yeah,
Derek, before you go any further, there's only 10 minutes left on this live.
okay. You want to go
I don't
out
know
and come back
why.
in?
That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to let everybody know right now to please, 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 everybody, please come back to the live right now because I'm getting ready to let everybody know your name and where you're from again.
DB from Louisiana.
I'm about to get him on here right now and let him share his experience. So we'll be right back.